does know how comedy works.
Yeah, for sure.
He does know that.
For sure.
And can I just point out, and I'll totally shut up even for the rest of the podcast, my Jerry moment is, and this is, I think, where Jerry and De Niro work well together, is the cue card reading scene.
Oh, yeah.
Where Jerry, it's super hardcore.
Jerry comes
like deadpan. It's total, no, but he's just like, the cue card is, it's upside down.
Yes.
Yeah.
That shreds, guys, and that's really good back and forth between those two guys. And he's being a big foppish fool, De Niro, like the card's upside down, it's in the wrong order, and he's like,
classic.
The card is playing, and he's just so deadpan, trying to get through this. Yeah, that's all.
As long as we're doing favorite Jerry's, like mine is, and it takes a little bit of the backstory or the behind-the-scenes intel to appreciate, but the part where he comes back. Jerry Langford comes back to his house that's been invaded by Rupert and Rita. The butler takes his John out, like struggles to open the door, and I guess like it was one of those things where like the actor really was having trouble opening the door, and they're all improvising. So but he finally gets the door open, and Jerry's like, "What the hell? You gonna open the door? I've been sitting out there for 8 minutes."
Dude, incredible.
Open the goddamn door. Stanford. Standing out there 8 minutes. Open the door.
Dude,
it's a great moment.
Dude, that moment was when I watched it just earlier. I'm like, that's a little too real. Like that was real Jerry coming through there.
Like he didn't even know the cameras were rolling.
Like just No, exactly.
I think he's just in the moment, like improvising, like and just going with the flow.
Absolutely, guys.
Or
that that's the real face of Jerry fucking Lewis.
Yeah, it is. That's the man right there. It's probably 10 times worse than that. But anyway, all right. So let's while we've arrived at that scene, let's talk about it. To me, it's one of my favorite scenes in the whole flick is where of course, Rupert brings Rita out uninvited to Jerry Langford's summer home, and that scene, man, is it's the funniest, it's the most awkward, it's the most cringe, but it's also the scariest scene in some ways too. In terms, and it's really tense. I mean, it's super tense when he obviously we're here, we're in Jerry's home, and the butler guy's flipping out, and he does an incredible job too. Like, I'm having a heart attack, and all that stuff. But then also when Rita starts to turn on the records, have a drink, steal something or whatever, like, oh shit, man, it's and then of course just the performance of Jerry in that scene when he's dressing him down. And the way he handles it too.
Warning.
Like he doesn't
loose debris reported in training chamber corridors. Navigational hazards
he
likely.
Indulges it a little bit, and then waits for that perfect moment just to be like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
It's great. It's an incredible scene.
Yeah, I think you're right. Tense is a good word for it. It's cringe and tense, which doesn't happen all the time. It's
his reaction's what builds the tension, that they are just kind of like playing, goofing around that world, and we don't see his reaction yet, so it builds up the intent, it builds up the anticipation, like what's going to happen.
And shout out to her, what's her name, Diane Abbott, the character of the lady friend of Rupert. She's playing this she has a different context, and in a way she's the most sane person in that moment in the film, kind of. Because she's just immediately she does some nice stuff with her face where she's just observing Jerry dressing him down,
right?
And like with the slow burn, and of course Rupert's response to the slow burn of like, I despise you, I hate you, he's like, hey, what's going on? Hey, don't talk about my lady like that.
Well, I was gonna say that,
and her face starts falling.
Yeah.
Because she's like, this is worse than I thought it was 10 seconds ago.
Right.
And now, it's just getting worse and worse and worse. We were so not invited,
right,
but even worse than not invited.
Right. And then it gets really complicated. It gets it adds a whole nother layer, because you as the viewer too, it's like you're watching someone like her just be completely humiliated, like totally, completely humiliated. And in that moment you just said, dude, where Jerry looks at Bob or Rupert and says,
did anyone ever tell you you're a moron?
Or whatever, and then that's when he's like, well, I didn't want you to talk to Rita like that, and then it just like makes it so much.
I can't even look
worse.
at it. I'm like, I look away. I'm like, that is so rough.
It's rough.
Like,
yeah. Rita's got her own issue. She does feel that thing, like you said, right? And then she's like down on her luck, and I know she's also kind of like a a call girl. I think we're supposed to like not. I think she's supposed to be kind of rough around the edges too. I think that there's supposed to be characters. There's not supposed to be no redeeming characters in this movie. I feel like that was the intention. I don't know if they landed it, but I think that's where what they wanted to have happen because, I mean, Rupert has no good quality. He's not funny. He's dangerous.
He really doesn't.
You know, like
which is a very bold thing to do.
That's
your lead
detail they put in
character.
about Rita feels like something that they wanted her to like not be a perfect character. Sandra Bernhard's really like get away from me, and then Jerry's a despicable person.
Right.
I know.
It's very bitter and dark. Well, here's my Pauline Kael shout out. She said basically what you're saying, and she didn't take to it though. She was like,
Alert.
what is the audience supposed to do?
Elevator 9 malfunction reported. Use caution when entering or exiting the lift.
Again, running out of time. If you guys don't mind, I'd like to talk about what I think is a kind of a bumpy ride, which is the ending of the film, and just to open it up to your thoughts because I entertain the thought that, and I want to hear what you're saying on this. Are we seeing a less and less realistic portrayal of the circumstances as this film goes on, to the point where at the very end, like Rupert Pupkin is sitting in a mental hospital in reality, but what we're seeing on the screen is him like, all right, everybody, you're a great audience, and let's just like, because we do see him having fantasies, they are, articulated, so is the film shifting, and that's the theory, Taxi Driver, some people say, where Sybil Shepherd wants to get back with him after he shoots all the mobsters, is like, is that a fantasy? Is that real? So, what do you guys think?
Well, 50% of all theories seem to be like it was a dream, or it was a fantasy.
Taxi Driver.
Just in general, there's always like a film. Any film ever, people are always like, was it all a dream? You know what I mean? That's always the kind of go-to thing.
The Wizard of Oz story. Yeah.
Right, but there is like a there is something weird in this movie where like I got lost for a second because there is the fantasies early on. They're very clearly delineated. Like he's imagining himself out to lunch with Jerry. But when they first get on the train to go out there together, and she's all got a wig on, Rita's got a wig on, and they're like going to Jerry's house. I thought that was a fantasy for a second, up to the point when they arrived and John opened the door. I was going like, is this him like imagining this weekend happening? It took me a while for it to and I had to run it back to catch. I don't know if I just got distracted for a second, but I was having a problem with that too. So I don't know. Maybe it could be a.
I'm not saying you have a problem with it. I'm just saying like that's an interesting thought.
Not a problem, but I just
that
got
it's
lost for a
shifting
second.
more to
Is
the
this
unreal.
Yeah, is this
always
surreal?
like got an eye on the unreal.
Well, for me, I've seen this movie many, many, many times, and over the years, and I would say most times I've seen it up until this most recent
Silo elevator 9 malfunction reported.
as more
Use
fantasy
caution
and
when entering or exiting the
bonus
lift.
package about his success after getting released from jail. This time, however, when I watched it, I really was, I don't know, it hit me in a way where it was like, you know what? This feels, because maybe it's the world we live in today. I don't know. Maybe this is resonating more with the way things are today and how everything works on social media and also like mass shooters and freaky people that are out there lurking. That it's actually darker of an ending if it's real. If that's really what did happen.
Yeah,
is
of
that
course.
he comes out of jail as a celebrity and everyone embraces
That
him.
kind of reality should only be a sick man's fantasy.
Right.
But that should not be. Or,
But it's
can I
not.
just say though?
Because it's not a fantasy. Because people do commit crimes.
Right.
And get
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
no,
saying.
no, it's true. It's so true. One thought is the thing that comes to mind a lot is the film Network.
Yeah.
You guys are familiar with that? It ends where a guy who's clearly unstable, mentally ill, for ratings, he's shot to death on TV, and it's a kind of a broad
Routine
takedown of
maintenance has
like
not been
TV
conducted
culture. And
in
this
over
film, King of Comedy, is
3,000 days.
of a stripe
System
of
performance may
TV,
be
television
suboptimal.
takedown, defense cinema, being there, where Peter Sellers basically his whole brain
Real
is
life.
just television. Sure, yeah, right. And then Simon too did that, where there's a cult of worshippers of the television, very obscure. Alan Arkin's Simon.
Whoa.
And then this one, and of course Network too. And so, for me though, I hope that it's not reality, simply because it feels less fresh than a pure disturbing fantasy world, because it feels like a little bit of a dated, like takedown by sophisticates, coastal people about like like the brain damage that television brings on people, and that just feels. I mean, it's obvious and it's true, but it just feels a little dated. It just feels like of its time in a bad way to me. So I hope that wasn't his intention. Something so sort of pragmatic. That's not quite the word, but you know what I mean. Something so.
You mean it's just kind of like a, is it just that it's kind of like
Is it just a social critique?
Like
It sounds kind of limited to me.
or at surface level, you mean, kind of thing?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it seems unlike Marty to just have like this surface level, simple social criticism. Like from a one-to-one, like, boy, don't we agree? TV really is bringing down our culture. It's like, okay, it's a little prosaic to me. So,
I don't know if I
hope
saw
it's
it
not
in
bad.
that way. Like I said,
Okay.
it hit me. It sort of hit me tonight as more of people who do like it kind of forecasted the '90s to me, where you see a lot of these kind of true crime celebrities, even not like exactly, or like that, or like Joey Buttafuoco, all these people, that would become such celebrities based off of really stupid.
So not so much
petty
TV, but
crimes.
tabloid.
Thank you, tabloid. Like it hit me in a way that like he's now a tabloid sort of stuff, which
That's
is
still
something
to
we
me,
used to.
it just feels like so unlike Marty to have something that's so sort of relatively limited about like look at this social ill of tabloid reality. I don't know, who cares? But it captivates my imagination to think that he's wanted to have it be this fantasy.
It could
realm,
be though. It could be.
and how it's shifting more to that. Anyway, I'm repeating myself. Just I don't know.
I feel like maybe like since it's Bob, I feel like maybe Marty didn't have like full ownership of it. It's not that way, and that's maybe why that has like the movie has its flaws or something. And I think that could possibly also be why the message is a little bit like feels like off-brand a little bit for him too. Is maybe because there's something. I love this movie, but there's something off about it for Scorsese for me, and that was my feeling when I found out that it was really De Niro kind of like bringing the script to him and kind of asking him to do it twice. That I felt like that maybe his heart wasn't in it or something. 100%. In fact, people ask him about it now, and he's like, I haven't watched it since now.
Marty?
And he said, I'm too embarrassed. Yeah, he says,
Marcus, I think what you're saying is what I'm feeling too. It's like I feel like maybe Marty was a little lost in the drift. He's still relatively young, and he has like 1, 2, 3, 4 like huge things, huge films, huge flops, and he was sort of spun out.
And he wanted to do Last Temptation of Christ. That was like, that's what he wanted to do. And then De Niro didn't want to do that, And
right.
Like,
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, and so
this is the Marty before Goodfellas, right? Where when things really all came together and then just off to the races.
right.
For the rest of his
And
career.
he just dialed in like where he's coming from. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Better for worse.
Yeah.
I don't know.
maybe
but that makes it interesting and kind of messy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I like
That's
it.
what I'm saying. Like, there's something about to me where it's like I would. Maybe I'm crazy. I'd way rather watch this because it is perfect and it is such a bizarre idea for a movie. And the fact that there are no redeemable characters or anything. It's this odd, weird thing that exists in this man's filmography. Makes it way more interesting to me.
Definitely. I know we've talked about After Hours, which is like one of my favorite Scorsese
I love that
movies.
movie,
I
too.
know, Evan, maybe you're not so. I don't know
Let's
how you feel
do
about
it.
but
We
should do it. But
We have to do it.
It is really interesting in light of this film too that he's like sort of stepping. He's sort of tepidly moving into comedy with this film, and then After Hours is
Then
like
he made
a
a
full blown
comedy.
like dark comedy, like and then
And it's very dark.
yeah, and then he doesn't really go back there again, I guess.
No, I know. That's what's so interesting to me. Like otherwise he has a comedic sense, and it's in Goodfellas and everything.
It's all
But
coming
he
back to
didn't
me
do
now.
it.
He wanted to make documentaries, so he thought about even at this point. I read that too. He thought about just like I'm gonna stop doing narrative movies and just do documentaries.
Well, he did The Last Waltz was right around this time, right? Or right before Raging Bull. So yeah, he was doing that. But yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating movie. And it's a fascinating part of his career. Yeah.
We got 4 minutes. I could throw out just I don't know if there's a shape to this, but like the middle of the film is really special to me, which is all the office scenes of talking about growing cringe and tension.
Yeah, it's
him repeatedly going to Langford's office. You guys want to talk about that? My
Sure.
thing was
Dim-
the landscape is what. That's all I'm saying, and I'll shut up. The landscape is so antiseptical and so Little Italy and warm and 60s, 70s. It's so carpeted and like just like single monotone colored walls. Talk to me like those office scenes.
Yeah, it's amazing. Is that cork? You know, like it's great.
Yeah, I love that. Good for
Yeah.
sound.
Good for sound. Yeah. No, it's all awesome. It's so great that you get to like also.
That's
do
good
like
stuff.
No, it is. It's great, and like I said, you really do get to. It's just great to watch because you do get to see like I think a real slice of who Richard Pumpkin really is in a lot of those scenes, and it's desperate, it's cringe, it's sad, it's tragic, and it's disturbing, and it works so well.
Goes up a notch. There's a nice kind of rhythm to it because it's like every visit is going to get more uncomfortable and cringe and intense, and it does. It delivers. It's like, and it goes all the way to, of course, the final result, which is being pushed out of the room, by heavy, security guards, out the door. But as he says, I was not thrown out. They walked me out. I love his distinction.
Excuse me?
God, there's so much I want to talk about, like how his comedy monologue is pretty dark. Like it's all like vomit and alcoholic dad. It's like, whoa, the pain is just like on the surface.
Yeah.
Like that's actually what you really learn the most about him. Is his monologue.
I know.
Isn't that creepy?
I love that the demo tape that he makes too. It's like so not what they wanted when they ask him to make a demo tape. And it's like he's so clueless as to what they actually want. And then you mentioned the production design in that office is really interesting, and then the production design in his house has to be mentioned too.
Oh,
those big cutouts and stuff. And
one of
what
the
an interesting
great
choice! Like
set pieces in film history are the cardboard cutout Liza Minnelli and Jerry Langford.
it's such an interesting choice because it's like it's not like the Taxi Driver's apartment, which is like so real and like this dingy.
gritty.
And like Rupert's supposed to be poor and lives with his mother, but he's got these. They really were just like, we don't need to go real. Like it would serve this scene better if he had these giant cutouts and like.
No,
a huge
exactly.
audience.
Well, here's the thing. No, Marcus, I'm so glad you're saying this because back to this, like the surrealism of King of Comedy. My last thing is just, yes, it seems plausible that he could have two cutouts and rehearse and practice by having, like Liza here and initial. No, but then it gets weird. Where a thing that he, I'm sure, does not have because this wall-sized, like photo montage or photo mural of an audience, and then it zooms out to this like big
that's the
space,
shot.
like an art gallery in Soho.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is he doesn't live there. That's not his place. That's not anywhere. That's his mind. Brilliant.
Yeah. And I got a shout out when I was in Berlin many years ago, over 10 years ago. There was a Scorsese exhibit and they recreated that exact hallway. It was pretty cool.
Take a picture.
But of course, I had a
Andrew
picture.
Bernhardt's apartment too is like that with all the candles and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a similar thing. It's not. You can really do that light like 100, 200 candles or whatever.
No, it's amazing.
It's also like
Very limited shit.
in their mind.
Yeah.
No,
Real
but
quick, I want to.
Surrealism. That's my last one.
Okay, thank you. Because I want to just dovetail one quick observation you made, Marcus, which is about the demo tape. I think they nailed it in terms of a true outsider, somebody who would really deliberately make all those choices to like make this own version of the show and to get really, sort of
Excessive
mechanical
sediments
intense
detected
and weird
in
and
filtration
not even
baths
get
2
what they
and
wanted.
3.
And that's kind of nailing some
Cleaning
like
will be required
private
to
press
restore
outsider
normal
shit
flow.
like way before people
DIY,
understood it.
Super 8 horror movie.
Yeah, right, totally.
That's a
So
huge
anyway.
theme of this movie is critique of insider outsider on both sides.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Great ending
What a
words
fucking
there.
movie.
All right. Awesome. All right.
What a movie.
That was one fucking hour on King of Comedy, KOC.
Another one where an hour's not enough. I mean, a lot was left on the floor, on the table.
Yeah.
I'm afraid.
Totally. Yeah, tons more to get into there, but I'm glad we finally got into it. We didn't explain at the top of the hour, but shortly, or right before we did our Taxi Driver episode, there was a coin flip of if we were going to do Taxi Driver or King of Comedy, and so
Last
now we
summer.
finally, King of Comedy lost, but now we're finally getting around to it. So.
Right. Now, can I say, let's commit, guys, to after hours. Maybe sooner than later. I like this. Let's just follow through and do after hours like next month or something. Really?
Okay, sure.
And then
I'm really fascinated.
We'll do
No, we're not.
Kunduz, Marty, Kunduz.
Kunduz.
I liked it.
I liked it. Yeah. best line
Kundun.
ever.
I know. It's
Kundun.
the
I
best.
liked it.
I like it.
Yeah. Like, you wouldn't think I would. People don't like it. You know, like, I watched
know.
Goodfellas 100 times and never could do, but
Like
I liked it.
it's so funny that like Christopher Moltisanti, like in his brain, in that like nanosecond of seeing Marty, what's the thing I could say that would make him really happy?
Right.
You know.
His head would turn. You know. Yeah. He would. Don't say like, are you talking to me? Oh, he's like Kundun because he's a bit of a cineast, Christopher.
Right. He's also a big fan of The Departed.
Yeah. Soundtrack.
Right.
This system has no balls though.
Yeah. Right. God.
Right?
I'm guessing Christopher must be a huge King of Comedy fan. I mean, he sort of indiscriminately likes all
Character?
Yeah.
What?
Like,
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? He's got them on DVD.
that's
all.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's talk about next
You
week.
are en
Get
route
outta
to
here.
habitation yellow.
All right, so
Please
we're back in
enjoy
action now.
your
Schedule's back alive
alert.
on full force here.
Elevator
2023.
security locks are still
next
in
week-
place.
Weekly movies.
Manual
Here we go.
override will be required.
Next week is going to be an exciting one. We have a special guest returning to the show after it'll be a second time on the show. Our good friend Lars Nilsson of the Austin Film Society is going to be coming back, and we're going to be going back. You know, we're going to be going back into what is this 1960? Is that when this movie came out?
1960.
Yeah, 1960. We're going to be doing our first Ingmar Bergman, y'all. Yeah, Bergman. So
Not
we're gonna
Birdman.
not Bergman.
Bergman.
Ingmar Birdman. We're going to be doing.
That's my new band.
Oh my god. We're going to be doing one fucking hour on the Virgin Spring. I'm fucking excited about this, guys.
Yeah.
We
Very
gotta.
interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Lars is he put in a request, you know, and
Yeah.
we went for it. So he'll have you know, a lot of ammo, I'm sure, to bring, and I can't wait to just observe and listen to Lars's take on it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to rewatch the movie. It's been a long time, and you know, I always, you know, Bergman's the shit, and I'm glad that we're going to be doing some more world cinema. We're going to try and hit some more of those this year because you know, I think we only got like one in there so far.
Yeah, we're leaving the country
Yeah, we're leaving the country.
finally.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they shot part of Star Wars in England, so I think that
Okay.
counts.
Okay,
There you go.
I'll take it.
Okay. All right. So, all right, everybody. So next week is going to be one fucking hour on the Virgin Spring with special guest Lars Nilsson. But I guess that wraps it up for today. Make sure you're following us. Subscribe on the YouTube. Follow us on social medias.
Warning. Class 7 fluid has been detected. For the safety of habitation yellow, airlock seal mechanisms must be engaged.
For what our
Please contact your local control room specialist.
of Zen is going to be this week. So
Control specialist is missing.
Yeah, right.
Contacting administrator.
Just getting off the set. Okay,
Warning.
okay, everybody.
Administrator is missing.
All right, everybody,
Contacting emergency
definitely enjoy
worker
your
protection
of
crews.
Zen, and we will see you, of course, next week. Have a good rest of your week. All right, everybody.
No crews detected. Engage manual override.
Hello?
Hi.
Who is this?
There's a fellow's been staring at you all evening.
Where are you?
Right over there. Listen, I have a few ideas here.
Okay, thank you. Never mind. Sorry, I rang the wrong apartment.
Take this gentleman that was. He had his hang-ups, though. He had his hang-down.
Don't call me now. Motherfucking goddamn automobile beat.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, self-deprecating.
Airlock seal is priming.
Right, exactly.
You have 30 seconds to return to the emergency personnel lift. Have a good day.